Hello, Tyler here with Small Studio Associates, licensed architect in Las Vegas, Nevada, and the surrounding areas including California and Arizona. We have practiced architecture in other states, so give us a call if you're far away and you see use for a Las Vegas architect. But generally speaking, we're restricted within a day's drive of Las Vegas. I'm talking to you today about the Permit Now program for unincorporated Clark County. For those of you who haven't seen our 2 prior videos on this topic, I recommend you go and watch those videos first. Some information may be redundant, and some will be different depending on the specific video. In the Clark County Building Department jurisdiction, we have the ability to skip the majority of plan review and get a permit in 1 business day after the plans are completed. Just 1 review of the architectural, mechanical, plumbing, electrical, and structural, and then we notify the building department that the plans have been cleared for plan check. The building department then does the paperwork in 1 day, and you can then pull your permit. This program will work for many architectural projects like tenant improvements, ground-up buildings, or projects of multiple trades. There are a couple of stipulations for the program. We must be the architects, and the project must be under 25,000 square feet. Some other restrictions apply as well. Another restriction would involve having a grease trap. Having one is not allowed in Permit Now, which eliminates most restaurants from the program. Another would be if the building is subject to a fire protection report. Examples include casinos or large shopping malls. Not all retail outlet strip centers are exempt, but big shopping malls and similar businesses won't work for the Permit Now program. So the Permit Now program has been running as a pilot program for a few years now. It's been wildly successful in Phoenix, where we're not a part of the program, although we do work there as architects. We're not doing work frequently enough in Phoenix to participate in their Permit Now program. Our clients have had a good experience with it though. We haven't had any projects that have fallen significantly outside of the 1 or 2 business days. We used to say 1 business day, but now we've gotten a little bit more comfortable with the idea of under-promising and over-performing. Meaning that we say 2 business days, the people that we're working with down there have been real good in their whole process, and so in our mind, it is no longer a pilot program. Another jurisdiction nearby has attempted to copy the program, so it seems to be slowly but surely in glacial pace that the government is catching on. Let's talk about what goes into using the Permit Now program. First of all, as I said before, we have to be the project architect. We can have any group of consultants help us as long as they're Nevada licensed. Next, we will do a review on all of the drawings before we take them down there. We then make a presentation to the building department that shows that all the drawings comply. There's some possibility that the building department might make some comments or what have you, but it doesn't ever delay the actual issuance of the permit. The comments probably wouldn't be significant to the overall cost of your project. So how does it work? Well, everything at SSA Architecture is a la carte. So you could hire us to be your project architect for, say, your small ground-up building or your tenant improvement. And from there you can either hire your own engineering consultants or what have you. We can hire them as sub-consultants to us, however. Then, when all the drawings are done, we need a little time at the end to make sure that the drawings that we have not created are going to be in compliance. We need to verify as much as the building department plan checkers would. The drawings that we've got from the consultants must be done according to local standards. Next, we have to get the project accepted into the program. And if you're within the parameters that I gave earlier, then it will likely be accepted into the program. If there's some obscure issue where it might not be accepted, we will tell you before we sign the contract with you. I should reiterate that this video is not about residential projects. We don't often do residential projects, and we haven't had the experience of a residential owner asking us to do expediting. It can be done, but that's a topic for a different video. So if you're within the parameters, then we go down and we have a preliminary meeting with the building department before the plans are done. Then, on the day we actually hand it in, there's not normally an official meeting. We just either put it in the hand of the person who's conducting the program, or we leave it with a specific person that's been designated. During the theoretical day or 2 that they have it, they have to communicate with the various water departments and check with planning and zoning to make sure that the project is in the right zone and category. Finally, they have to figure out the fee. We'll need to get a copy of the contract or the bids if the contract hasn't been met yet to give to the building department and the general contractor. We will also have to give the final general contract to the building department to actually pay the final fee and pull the permit. In Nevada, architects are not licensed to pull permits, and we must have a general contractor physically go to the building department and provide them the satisfaction that they are a licensed general contractor. Many times they'll just look on the contractor's board website to see if the company is licensed. Otherwise, they can go through the contract and determine if they feel that the stated construction cost is fair. They can also ask for other verification. Contractors are given a card by the contractors board proving that they are the contractor that they claim to be. Beyond that, the building department can ask for personal identification and things like that. But for the most part, the general contractor just goes down there and says, I'm here to pick up a permit for the XYZ project, and they say your permit fee is blank, and then the contractor pays it, and you got your building permit, and then you're off and running. If that sounds like it would be worthwhile to you, I'll give you just a few more limitations on the Permit Now program. One of which is that if a house has to be sprinklered, they won't accept it. Another one is that if a project involves civil improvements, say you're on the city street and the street has to be improved, then that project is ineligible. However, if you've got a commercial building sitting on a pad site in front of a shopping center and all the off-sites are done, then the project qualifies. There is the question of whether the civil off-sites can be done as a separate permit so that we can get started on the building. We haven't waded too deeply into that, but it'll be on a project-by-project basis. For those unfamiliar with the concept of a fire protection report, in a big complicated building like a casino or a shopping mall, they have a profession called the fire protection engineers. And what they essentially do is they figure out where everybody theoretically runs to in the case of a fire. Now this is sort of like trying to calculate how much rain will fall from the sky, but nevertheless, this is what they're tasked with. And so the reason why the building department doesn't want to get involved in projects that have big fire protection reports is it's a pilot program. They're afraid that some little mistake will cause the people to run hither instead of beyond, and many people will be killed because of how complicated it is, and so they've just left it out of the program entirely. Another jurisdiction who has taken on a similar program that I'm going to talk about in the next video felt more comfortable with that situation and didn't eliminate it. So we're optimistic that eventually the Clark County Building Department will lift some of its restrictions on this program. And there's quite a bit of fine detail in how it all applies and how it all works. So if you're in those categories, put it in your thought process that it might not be allowed for Permit Now. So I'll be talking about whether to use this program or not. The truth of the matter is, this is really just compensation for lack of advanced planning. And so if you can get 6 months in your schedule for going through to designing the project, getting it through the building department, and getting the project under construction, that's really what you should do. It's going to be so much less stressful for you. It'll be less upfront costs, and so people do this without signing a lease. Recently, we had a project where the tenant was going into a retail shopping center, and there were a number of redundant identical spaces in the strip shopping center. The potential for the landlord to lease the client's space to someone else was not that great. Someone else could just as soon take the space next door, so they made a choice not to sign the lease until after the plans were ready to go down to the building department. That enabled them to use the 90 days that's customarily offered for construction processes in a normal lease to actually go through the building process and plan approval process without any significant cost or expediting. Even in the case of that project, they in the end decided that 90 days was really what it was going to take for the plans to be built after they went through the design process. They still decided to go ahead and do the normal permitting program. So 6 months for the tenant improvement, from the day you say, okay, I'm going to do this, to the day you move in, is really somewhat of a rush. And that's what makes these expediting processes popular. Because with the local leasing agents only allowing 90 days before the rent starts, that means that you're paying months of rent before you can actually move in. And it's either for the permit process, or the architectural design process, or for the construction process. So regardless of whether you hire our firm or another, you're probably not going to get through the architectural design and construction documents process in less than 30 days. And one of the things that architects kind of joke about is how long is it going to take us to make up your mind? This is if this is a new process for you. If you're a somewhat franchise company and you build 20 of these restaurants, you know if you're McDonald's and you know what you want, then that's great. But if you're not, then in the course of the designing, you're going to have decisions that you have to make. And you're not going to want to make them in 5 minutes. You're going to want to think about them and talk to your business partner, talk to your investors, talk to your equipment supplier. That 30-day timeline is really a push on you as the client. It's not as much of a push on the architect and their staff, because sometimes we end up just stopping the project altogether and work on another project for a few days while we're waiting for a client to make up their mind. Don't plan on your project at the outset to have to do these rush job related processes. Try to get the project done before the rent starts. Use advanced planning. If you haven't used advanced planning, if it's too late, if you hesitated or whatever the reason, then great. This is the program for you. The world isn't perfect though, even if you decided to allow yourself 6 months, but then you had a business partner join you while you're in the design process and you found out about some new piece of equipment and it took a little longer than you figured to get the information on it. Then you can use the Permit Now expediting process and the other expediting processes that I'm talking about in these videos to try to catch up. That's really what it should be used for, but regardless, we do this for a living. We'll do it for you under any circumstances, and our fees are competitive with what others charge, and we're normally charging at the customary hourly rates that the architecture and engineering firms charge. The rates that the city, county, and other government agencies charge are basically unknown to you because you're agreeing to pay an overtime rate, which is a fixed hourly rate depending on what the person's wages are. And then you also don't know how many hours that person will be working in the overtime process. You're kind of open-ended with them. But in the Permit Now program, the Clark County Building Department actually gives you a small reduction of the fees that they charge because they don't have to perform the plan review process. In that regard, you're actually paying a little bit more to the ATM and paying a little bit less to the county and saving quite a bit of time. That's your benefit. So, if you thought this video was of any value to you at all, please like the video and take a look at our website at smallstudioassociates.com for pictures of our work and valuable information under the article section. Also, you can watch our other 50 plus videos on our YouTube channel. We have one more video in this series and I will see you there. Thanks for watching.